Joining me now is Dr. Ben Carson, former Republican presidential candidate, former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development in the Trump administration, and founder of the American Cornerstone Institute. He recently wrote this op-ed for the Washington Examiner entitled "Biden's Unconstitutional Attack on the Supreme Court," which he writes, "Americans shouldn't be fooled. This naked attempt to overhaul a court that refuses to do the president's bidding is a hallmark of authoritarian regimes everywhere." Dr. Carson, thank you very much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Dan, for having me. This is such a critically important issue.
It is, and as you can tell, I have real concerns about the timing and the execution of these proposals. But how would making term limits for justices and having binding ethics rules resemble an authoritarian regime?
Well, here we have a situation where you're talking about Biden, who wants to overturn what the Supreme Court has done. He wants a constitutional amendment eliminating the broad immunity for presidents. Now, why does he want that? Because if you have that, then you can intimidate the president into doing your bidding. They'll never, ever want to go against those who can put them in jail or bankrupt them. So it would really destroy our system to a large degree. As far as term limits are concerned, there's a reason, obviously, that they give them lifetime appointments so that they're not vulnerable to a lot of different things. But I do think there should be something else that should be done, and that is not only for Supreme Court justices, but for anybody with a responsible government position. They should be required to have a mental status exam every year, because it's well known that as people age, sometimes there are some cognitive issues. And why would we put ourselves in jeopardy when it would be such a simple thing? It could be done in less than half an hour a year. And it's nonpartisan, by the way.
Well, let me ask you about that.
And then as far as ethics...
Because I was going to ask you a separate question, but let me follow up on something you just said, because I think that's very interesting, the idea of having a mental exam. Wouldn't there then be debates about who the doctor ought to be to evaluate it? You said it would be nonpartisan, but how do you decide then on who's the doctor who does the evaluation?
Well, these tests are pretty objective. There are things like count down from 100 by sevens.
Okay.
And they give you like 3 objects and ask you to repeat them. And then after asking you to do a few other tests, they say, do you remember what those 3 objects were? I mean, it's stuff like that. These are not hard tests.
Okay,
I've seen them. They're very easy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. If it's that simple, then I get it. All right. I interrupted you. You were about to talk about ethics as well.
Well, I just think it's incredibly rich that Biden's talking about ethics with the things that his family have done in order to enrich themselves, and things that his son has done. And it's just incredibly hypocritical. But what we need to see is that these are people who are like school children, who, if they lose the game, they want to change the rules. The rules have served us well for 248 years. What we need to do is make sure that we adhere to them. Our founders were very intelligent men. They studied every governmental system that ever existed, and they extracted the good things and left the bad things out. But the key thing they wanted to do was preserve our freedom and our independence. And when we start manipulating the system in order to fit political goals, we destroy something that is so very important. It's the very reason that so many people want to come to our country. As much as people bad talk our country, why are they still trying to get in here? Obviously, our country is a pretty nice place.
Yes, it is.
And we ought to be working on ways that we can improve upon it. Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's not try to disassemble something that has served so many people so well.
But aren't there ways to improve? Meaning the Supreme Court has certainly evolved over time. It doesn't look exactly the way that it did when our founders were alive. Is there such a big problem with the idea of an 18-year term limit? I mean, let's assume for a moment that you take my suggestion, which is it doesn't apply to any of the current justices, right? So you're not playing politics with it. It just becomes something for the future. Is that really such a bad proposal?
Well, remember when it was put in place, the average age of death was 57. So you didn't really have the issue of cognitive decline with age. It wasn't a big deal. It is a big deal now, and it's the main issue. I don't think age is a real problem. I know a lot of people in their 90s who are as sharp as a tack, and I know a lot of people in their 50s who are dull as can be. You know, we ought to be looking at the way that people live their lives, what they say, what they do, as opposed to their specific age.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.